Alright, so it's small and super versatile, but can the DJI Nano actually help you film cooking content in your kitchen? Let's find out. Hey, I'm Elliot. I'm a dad, a tech enthusiast, and someone who just wants to find practical ways to integrate tech into everyday family life. And I also used to help out behind the camera with my wife's cooking channel, where she used to share fun, easy recipes for families. In this Camera Cook series on my channel, I really just test out camera, gear, setup to see how they work in the kitchen. And if you're just starting out as a cooking content creator, or you're looking things to spice up your existing channel, this series is for you. So consider checking out the playlist or subscribing to get updated when new videos come up. Before we get into the cooking test, I want to be really clear about something. I don't think you should buy the DJI Nano for cooking content. I originally got this camera for an entirely different purpose. I talk about it like it's a symbiotic camera. It's good at a few very specific things, but it's not replacing any of my main cameras. So I don't want to mislead anyone. I would not buy the DJI Nano just for cooking content. If you have it anyway because it's part of your snowboarding channel, but if you're on the fence, you're buying it for a different reason anyway, and this might be one thing you want to look into, then why don't you check out this video. The reason I'm testing the DJI Nano is because I think it does have actually one very good strength for cooking content. It's small and versatile and can kind of fit in anywhere. So I think you can get a lot of very unique, interesting shots with this camera that you wouldn't necessarily want to do with any of your other cameras. Number one is the magnetic mounting, or even the suction cup mounting. The fact that this camera here and the bottom and the back of the camera are magnetic, that opens up so many possibilities. You can stick it under the range hood of your stove to get a really cool overhead looking down overhead shot. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that overhead shooting has been the bane of my existence. You can stick it to stainless steel appliances, and you can stick it to so many things inside your kitchen, pots and pans, spatula. I've actually put it on cans. You can turn anything in your kitchen kind of into a tripod with this, and like the hat clip, for instance, that allows you to pivot up and down. It's just actually really easy and very cost effective in terms of not having to buy additional gear just to make it work. Now, number two is I think that there's a particular type of cooking content that this is really good for, and it's the kind of vlog style storytelling cooking content as opposed to like instructional videos. The wild field of view for this camera actually gives you a very good context of what's going on. It's actually very conversational, very contextual, allows people to see you as a person interacting with the food, your facial expressions, things like that. And if that's what you're going for, I think this is actually a pretty decent way to do it and really set up and move around the kitchen really quickly. So if you're more into the storytelling of cooking content than the instructional part of cooking content, I think this could work very well for you, particularly if you fill in a log profile, which this camera actually does have, and then mix and match it with your other camera so that it's kind of much more seamless looking in terms of the content that you're putting out there. Third, there's actually really easy slow motion and time-lapse functionality on this camera, and they're very simple to use. With slow motion, you can of course slow down time and give some dramatic effect to just pouring the gravy into whatever you're doing or chopping your vegetables, and you can use it for transition effects like really getting a shot that goes right into the food. You can also use the time-lapse functionality to get some really interesting perspectives of something that would normally be pretty boring, like just having a pot simmer or something like that. That's usually not that interesting, but you can use to stimulate interest by kind of creating a sped up version of the process. And actually one very interesting thing with the DJI Nano, when you do film in time-lapse mode, what actually happens is it gives you an indication of how long that clip is going to be. You will see, for instance, it's going to take 5 or 10 seconds, and then you can kind of understand how much of your audience's time it's going to take. So finally, we'll get to what I think is a superpower of the DJI Nano when it comes to cooking content. It's obviously a banger when it comes to POV shooting. It comes with a neck mount. You just kind of stick the camera right here, and it's so wide you can get so much of what you're actually doing into the frame, and it's actually really easy and seamless, and it's not going to have a huge learning curve for you. Again, this is a tiny little camera. There's so many different angles you can use. You can mount in places you would never want to risk putting your regular camera to, or your phone, and if you want creative angles, this thing is just a beast. In my previous Cam It Cook videos, I talk about the 5 camera angles that I tended to use when it came to filming cooking content. Because we had that setup going on, it made it actually easier to film, subsequently to edit because it was predictable enough. If you want to experiment with the DJI Nano, you can get so many different shots, so many different perspectives. If you're willing to get your camera a bit dirty, I think the Nano has a lot of potential with some limitations, and maybe we'll get into those limitations. So the first con is the wide angle field of view, and I know I said that's a positive, but it's also a huge negative when it comes to cooking content. The DJI Nano's I think it's like a 140-degree angle of view. That's huge. It pulls everything into your kitchen into one shot. So if you're doing like a bit of a talking head, you're just facing the camera, talking to the camera, it's going to get everything in focus around you too. So if you've got some clutter in your kitchen or something you don't necessarily want your audience to see, it's going to be in there. It's so wide. This camera doesn't have very good bokeh, so it's not as though like if I used my Sony ZV-E10 here and the 16mm 1.4 lens, it's going to like blur everything out behind me and kind of hide some of that clutter. Maybe not that well right now. It's not going to do it with this camera. It's going to see everything. You're going to get everything in frame and clear, and everyone's going to see that mess you have. So what that ends up meaning is you're going to spend more time cleaning. Make of that what you will. Number 2 is the minimum focus distance for the camera, which is 35 centimeters. So if I'm filming something and how close can I get to the camera, it's going to be like roughly this big, 35 centimeters, and it's not going to fill up your screen at all. So what that means is you're not going to get very good macro details of your food, no garnish close-ups, no sizzling oils, things like that. And in my other videos, what I've said is I think those are kind of like the money shots in cooking content, because that's what really draws people on, like salivating over the food that you just made. But you're not going to be able to do that with this particular camera. It's going to be like a good picture of the plate or the table around it. It's not going to be as crispy and nice and clear as having a nice close shot. There's no zoom, even digital zoom in this camera. And so you're going to have to crop. You're going to shoot at 4K, crop in on a 1080 video. It's doable, but it's not going to look as nice as if you could do it in camera or if you had a good lens that gets you really close. So to me, this is more of a POV camera because when you put on your chest, by your instinct is to hold food or whatever you're doing about 30 centimeters away. It's almost perfect because of that distance, but for close-ups, you're just not going to get really nice close-ups of your food. Number 3 is external mics. If you do instructional type videos, you're going to be talking to the camera. You want to use an external mic when it comes to stuff like this, because what that means is whatever noises are going on in the kitchen, they're going to be secondary. Your voice is going to be primary. You can connect an external mic to this. The problem is when you connect an external mic to this, what ends up happening is you lose the vision dock screen. That's actually a not insignificant issue for me. When I'm out in the field and if I was using the DJI Nano, I think that would bother me a lot. That's part of the reason why I bought the camera. When it comes to something like when you're filming cooking content in your kitchen, it's not great, but I think there is a workaround. Most of us do have iPads or, obviously like an iPhone or a tablet, and you can pair it with the DJI Mimo app so that becomes your secondary viewfinder. And I tested it. If you have an external mic attached to your camera, you're still going to be able to see the video with the DJI Mimo app, but it's an extra step. And when there's a lot of things going on, or you want to use your iPad or your phone for something else, that kind of creates a bit of an issue to work around. So I don't love that about the DJI mic, and it'll slow me down with cooking and kind of breaks the flow of everything up. Some people won't mind, but I do think it's a limitation. Number 4, low light limitations. Lighting will make a big difference. There's no doubt about that. But when you're starting as a beginner, there's a lot of things going on and you don't necessarily want to handle everything at once, because you'd rather just, I would recommend just shooting that first video, getting it out there, as opposed to like trying to get everything perfect. If you do a lot of things near like the window, a lot of times it just works because that'll be enough light to light up whatever you're doing. It is getting darker at this time of the year, and the DJI Nano is starting to struggle in just whatever lighting I have set up in my kitchen right now. So it's not looking as good as it could be, and small sensor cameras like the Nano really do struggle here. Without extra light, the footage does get noisy and less detailed and kind of muddy looking and not pleasant. And you can fix that issue with better lighting. And I'm thinking more like a few soft boxes, like a big soft box, as opposed to like a low light that you attach to the camera, but it's going to add cost, which moves me on to my next con, which is it is a tough value proposition. This is around $460. There's limitations to what you can do with it. I think you can save a bit more and look into other options, including used options on Facebook Marketplace. You can get DJI Pocket 3 probably in a pretty similar place from a used perspective as a new DJI Nano. You can look at the Sony ZV-1, even the original one. I think that's a pretty good camera still, or even like an interchangeable lens camera like the Sony ZV-E10. That might be a bit of a stretch goal, but there's no reason why you can't really film using your phone. An interchangeable lens camera like the Sony ZV-10, even with the kit zoom, I think is going to be a pretty good kind of flexible option to use. And to be honest, your phone is likely going to take better footage than the DJI Nano because of things like being able to get close to food, having zoom options for things like that. I think that gives the phone actually a lot of flexibility and a leg up on the DJI Nano for just, if you only had one camera, I think I'd rather use the phone. Anyway, those are just some quick thoughts. If you're interested in more content like this about cooking content and what kind of gear you might want to use in your cooking content, why don't you just subscribe and just kind of watch this playlist of Cam It Cook, and yeah, check it out. That's it for today, but stay tuned for the next episode of Cam It Cook. Until next time, peace.